The courtroom doors opened at 10:45 a.m., and Dr. Nathan Wright walked in wearing his white medical coat over a pressed shirt and tie, as if he'd come straight from the hospital. His stethoscope hung around his neck, a prop, a statement, a shield. At 47 years old, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who'd spent decades being called doctor and expected deference wherever he went. He didn't look worried. He looked annoyed that he had to be there at all. Before we dive into what happened in that courtroom, if you believe in justice and want to support a new channel dedicated to sharing these powerful stories, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Every subscription helps us bring more of Judge Caprio's wisdom to light. The bailiff called the case. The People versus Dr. Nathan Wright, case number 2024 TRF 2341. Charges: reckless driving, excessive speed, running a red light, and failure to yield. Total fines: $950. Dr. Wright stepped forward without waiting to be called, his medical bag in hand. Your Honor, I'm Dr. Nathan Wright, cardiothoracic surgeon at Rhode Island Medical Center. I have rounds in an hour, so I'd appreciate if we could handle this quickly. I'm prepared to pay whatever fine is necessary. Judge Frank Caprio looked up from the paperwork, his 37 years on the bench immediately recognizing the tone. Not contrition, but impatience. Dr. Wright, please approach the bench properly. Dr. Wright walked forward, setting his medical bag on the defense table like he was marking territory. Your Honor, I understand I was cited for some traffic violations. I don't dispute the facts. I was driving quickly because I was being called in for an emergency surgery. A patient's life was at stake. I'm sure you understand that medical emergencies take precedence over traffic regulations. Let me understand something. You had a medical emergency? A patient needed immediate cardiac surgery. I'm one of 3 surgeons in Rhode Island qualified to perform that particular procedure. When the hospital calls, I respond. Lives depend on it. Judge Caprio leaned forward. Dr. Wright, I'm looking at Officer Thomas Chen's report from October 15th at 2:30 p.m. It says you were driving 78 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone on Branch Avenue. You ran a red light at the intersection with Waterman Street, and you cut off another vehicle while changing lanes. Is that accurate? Approximately, yes. As I explained to the officer at the time, I was responding to a surgical emergency. I've been a surgeon for 15 years. I've saved hundreds of lives. I don't think a few traffic violations while saving a patient's life should be treated the same as some teenager joyriding. Dr. Wright, did the officer verify this emergency with the hospital? He wanted to, but I didn't have time to wait around. The patient couldn't wait. I told him to write whatever tickets he needed, and I'd deal with it later, which is exactly what I'm doing now. Judge Caprio picked up a document. According to Officer Chen's report, he did contact Rhode Island Medical Center. They confirmed you were scheduled for surgery that day, but it wasn't an emergency. It was a scheduled procedure that had been planned for 2 weeks. Dr. Wright's jaw tightened. All cardiac surgery is urgent, Your Honor. These patients are in critical condition. The fact that it was scheduled doesn't make it any less important. But you told Officer Chen it was an emergency surgery. You said a patient's life depended on you getting there immediately. I was simplifying the situation. I don't expect a traffic officer to understand the nuances of surgical scheduling. The courtroom fell silent at the casual dismissiveness in his tone. What happened next would change everything. Judge Caprio picked up a tablet. Dr. Wright, Officer Chen was wearing a body camera. I'd like to review the footage of your traffic stop. Your Honor, is that really necessary? I've acknowledged the violations. I'm willing to pay the fines. Can't we just conclude this? Play the video. The monitor showed dashcam footage of a silver BMW 7 Series, $95,000, weaving aggressively through traffic at high speed. The car cut off a minivan, forcing it to brake hard. Then the BMW ran a red light, nearly causing a collision with cross traffic. The body camera footage showed Officer Chen approaching the BMW. "Sir, license and registration. I clocked you at 78 in a 35. You ran a red light, and you nearly caused 2 accidents." Dr. Wright's voice came through clearly, sharp and impatient. "I'm a doctor. I'm on my way to save someone's life. Write the ticket if you must, but make it fast." "Sir, can you provide verification of this medical emergency?" "I don't have time for this. Do you understand what an emergency surgery means? It means someone could die while you're wasting my time with bureaucratic nonsense. I'm Dr. Nathan Wright, Chief of Cardiothoracic Surgery. Look me up. I've probably saved more lives than you've written tickets." Officer Chen remained professional. "Sir, I need to verify." "You need to get out of my way. I have actual important work to do, unlike standing on the side of the road playing traffic cop. Write your tickets. Send them to my office. But if my patient dies because you delayed me, I'll make sure everyone knows it was because a power-hungry cop couldn't handle a doctor who was actually doing something meaningful." The video ended. The courtroom was stunned by the doctor's arrogance and cruelty. If Judge Caprio's compassion moves you like it moves millions of others, show your support by subscribing to our channel. We're just starting out, and your subscription means everything. Dr. Wright stood at the defense table, his face flushed. "Your Honor, I was under extreme stress. Those words don't reflect." "Dr. Wright, you told a police officer that his job was meaningless. You suggested your work was more important than public safety. You threatened him with blame if your patient died. Those aren't words said under stress. Those are words that reveal what you believe, that your medical license places you above the rules that apply to everyone else. With respect, Your Honor, I think you're taking this out of context. I dedicate my life to saving people. I work 12-hour days. I'm on call constantly. I miss family events because patients need me. When I'm driving to perform surgery, yes, I prioritize getting there over traffic laws. I think that's reasonable." Judge Caprio removed his glasses. "Dr. Wright, what if I told you that the minivan you cut off, the one that had to brake hard to avoid hitting you, was driven by Maria Santos, a 34-year-old mother of 2. Her 6-year-old daughter was in the back seat, not wearing a seatbelt, because Maria had just picked her up from school and was still getting her buckled when you forced her to slam on the brakes. The little girl hit her head on the seat in front of her." Dr. Wright said nothing. "Or that the car you nearly collided with at the red light was driven by Robert Chen, a 72-year-old man on his way to his wife's chemotherapy appointment. He has a heart condition. The shock of nearly being hit by your BMW sent his blood pressure spiking. He had to pull over for 15 minutes to calm down before he could continue driving. His wife missed the first 30 minutes of her treatment. I didn't know. You didn't care to know. You were so focused on where you needed to be that you didn't consider that everyone else on the road also has somewhere important to be, that their lives and safety matter just as much as your surgery schedule." Dr. Wright's voice rose defensively. "Your Honor, I've been saving lives for 15 years. Hundreds of patients are alive today because of my skills, my dedication, my willingness to drop everything and respond when they need me. I think that should count for something." "It does count for something, Dr. Wright. It counts for the fact that you should understand better than most people how fragile life is, how quickly it can be taken away by reckless decisions. You cut open people's chests and repair their hearts. You know exactly what happens to the human body in a high-speed collision. And yet you drove 78 miles per hour through a residential area, endangering everyone around you. I had somewhere important to be. So did Maria Santos, picking up her daughter. So did Robert Chen, taking his wife to chemotherapy. So did everyone else on that road. Your destination doesn't make you more important than theirs. Dr. Wright stepped forward, his voice taking on a lecturing tone. Your Honor, I think you're missing the bigger picture here. I'm not some reckless teenager. I'm a professional with years of training. I make life and death decisions every day. I know how to assess risk. When I'm driving to the hospital, I'm making calculated decisions about acceptable risk versus the urgency of patient care. Dr. Wright, are you seriously arguing that your medical training qualifies you to break traffic laws? I'm arguing that context matters. A surgeon running a red light to save a patient is not the same as some drunk driver running a red light. There should be different standards for people whose work actually matters to society. The courtroom erupted in shocked whispers. Judge Caprio held up his hand for silence. Dr. Wright, let me make sure I understand your position. You believe your profession entitles you to drive recklessly? You believe surgeons should have different standards than other citizens? I believe that people who dedicate their lives to saving others should be given some consideration when they're trying to do their jobs. Yes. And Officer Chen, who stopped you that day, what about his job? He's dedicated his life to keeping roads safe, to preventing accidents that kill thousands of people every year. Does his work matter to society? That's not the same. Why not? Because he doesn't wear a white coat? Because his title isn't doctor? Officer Chen has 20 years of service. He's probably saved lives too, by stopping drunk drivers, by enforcing speed limits in school zones, by investigating accidents and finding ways to prevent future ones. But you told him his work was meaningless. Dr. Wright's face flushed darker. I was frustrated. I said things I shouldn't have. Are you apologizing, Dr. Wright? The doctor paused, his jaw working. When he finally spoke, his voice was stiff. I regret my tone with the officer. That's not an apology. I asked if you're apologizing. I've explained the circumstances. I've acknowledged that my language was inappropriate. I'm offering to pay whatever fines are necessary. What more do you want? I want you to understand why you're wrong. I want you to recognize that saving lives doesn't give you permission to endanger them. I want you to acknowledge that Officer Chen deserves respect, that Maria Santos and her daughter deserve safety, that Robert Chen and his wife deserve to get to their appointments without being terrified by your reckless driving. Can you do that? Dr. Wright stood silent, his pride visibly warring with the reality of the situation. I'm waiting, Dr. Wright. Your Honor, I'm a surgeon. I've spent 15 years. I don't care about your resume. I care about whether you understand that your medical degree doesn't place you above the law or above basic human decency. Dr. Wright's voice went cold. I don't think I need to explain myself to you. The courtroom went dead silent. Even his own attorney looked horrified. Judge Caprio stood up from his bench, something he rarely did. Dr. Wright, you just made this much worse. The standard fine for your violations would be $950, but your complete lack of remorse, your dismissal of public safety, your contempt for Officer Chen, and your refusal to acknowledge the harm you could have caused. Those tell me you haven't learned anything. Your Honor, I'm imposing the maximum fine of $1,850. Additionally, you will complete 80 hours of mandatory traffic safety education. You'll attend an advanced defensive driving course, and you'll complete coursework on the consequences of reckless driving. Dr. Wright's mouth opened in shock. 80 hours? I don't have 80 hours. I have surgeries scheduled, patients who need me. Then you'll need to manage your schedule. Third, you will complete 60 hours of community service. You'll serve those hours at the Rhode Island Trauma Center, working directly with accident victims and their families. You'll see firsthand what happens when drivers believe their urgency justifies reckless behavior. You can't make me work with trauma patients. I'm a cardiac surgeon, not... You're a person who endangered lives. Now you're going to help people whose lives were endangered by drivers just like you. Maybe, just maybe, you'll develop some empathy. This is outrageous. I'm going to appeal this. I'll take this to a higher court. You're welcome to appeal. But until that appeal is heard, my ruling stands. And Dr. Wright, I'm sending a copy of this case, including the body camera footage, to the Rhode Island Board of Medical Licensure. Not to threaten your license, but to ensure they're aware that one of their physicians believes his medical degree exempts him from traffic laws. They may want to have a conversation with you about professional conduct. Dr. Wright's face went white. You're reporting me to the medical board over traffic tickets? I'm reporting you because your attitude, your belief that your profession makes you more important than other people's safety, is concerning. Medicine requires humility. It requires respect for all human life, not just the lives of your patients. You've shown a disturbing lack of both. I save lives every day. You're punishing me for trying to help people. I'm holding you accountable for endangering people while claiming you were helping them. There's a difference. Court is adjourned. You have 14 days to register for your traffic safety course and begin your community service hours. Failure to comply will result in license suspension and possible jail time. The gavel came down with finality. As Dr. Wright gathered his medical bag, Officer Chen stood near the exit. The doctor tried to walk past without acknowledging him, but the officer spoke. Dr. Wright, I hope you'll take this seriously. Those classes and that community service, they're not punishment. They're an opportunity to understand what we see every day on the roads. Dr. Wright didn't respond. He pushed through the doors, already on his phone, probably calling his attorney about the appeal. But something unexpected happened over the next 4 months. The traffic safety course forced Dr. Wright to confront statistics he'd ignored. That traffic accidents kill more than 40,000 Americans every year. That speeding and reckless driving are leading causes. That many victims are professionals rushing to important jobs, just like him. The defensive driving training showed him how many near misses he'd probably caused without even noticing. But it was the community service that truly changed him. Working at the trauma center, he met Jennifer Martinez, a 28-year-old ICU nurse paralyzed by a driver who ran a red light while just running late for work. He met David Chen, a 17-year-old who'd lost both parents when a speeding driver crossed the center line. He met families destroyed by people who believed their urgency justified reckless driving. One evening, he was helping a family understand their father's injuries after a high-speed collision when the daughter asked him, "Do you think the other driver thought they had somewhere important to be too?" That question haunted him. 3 months into his service, Dr. Wright returned to Judge Caprio's courtroom, not because he was required to, but because he wanted to. He waited through the afternoon docket, and when the last case finished, he approached the bench. "Your Honor, I wanted to say something I should have said months ago. I'm sorry. I was arrogant and dangerous. I believed my medical license made me special, made my time more valuable than other people's safety. I was wrong. Judge Caprio looked at the doctor carefully. Dr. Wright, what changed? I met a family whose father was hit by a surgeon running late to surgery. The irony wasn't lost on me. He survived, but he'll need years of rehabilitation. The surgeon who hit him said almost exactly what I said to Officer Chen, that his work was too important to wait for traffic lights. The family asked me if I thought that was acceptable. I couldn't say yes, and I realized that's exactly what I'd been doing. That's wisdom speaking, Dr. Wright. I still save lives, but now I leave earlier for surgeries. I take the extra 5 minutes. I stop at red lights. Because I finally understand that the people I might hurt on the way to save one patient, they're someone's patient too. They're someone's parent, child, spouse. They matter just as much. 6 months after his court date, Dr. Wright completed all his requirements. But he didn't stop. He volunteered to speak at medical conferences about physician-driving behavior. He started a program at Rhode Island Medical Center requiring all physicians to complete defensive driving training. And he personally apologized to Officer Chen, to Maria Santos and her daughter, and to Robert Chen and his wife. If this story touched your heart, if you believe judges like Frank Caprio represent the best of our justice system, please support our new channel by subscribing and liking this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear that justice and compassion can coexist. Comment below with your city. Let's build a community that believes in fairness for all. 2 years later, Dr. Nathan Wright was still one of Rhode Island's top cardiac surgeons. But he was also known as the doctor who'd learned humility the hard way and used that lesson to help others. The program he started at the hospital reduced physician traffic violations by 40% and became a model for other medical centers. Judge Caprio kept Officer Chen's report on his desk, a reminder that sometimes the people who save lives forget. That includes the lives of the strangers they pass on the road. The courtroom truly is the great equalizer, where medical degrees mean nothing and character means everything. Dr. Wright walked into that courtroom believing his white coat was armor. He walked out understanding that real authority comes not from credentials, but from respecting every life, even when you're rushing to save one. That's not just justice, that's humanity.